Hey everyone, this is your stock market analysis for August 30th, 2011. My name is June and I have Chris here with me.
Hi, everybody.
All right, Chris, take it away.
Sure, let's take a look at what happened today. And nothing really significant happened today. The market just formed a spinning top candlestick. That's where it forms a small real body. And there really was no momentum either to the upside or the downside. Today was just basically a flat day. And we're gonna look at a little bit. We're just gonna zoom out a bit and look at the market did form a potential double bottom pattern, which the lows were around 1120, and the top of it was around 1209, 1210. Yesterday the market really got there, and today it closed above it. So we're going to see what's going to happen. If this is a true close above the top of the double bottom, then today was just a pause in the rally to the upside. And if the market continues to go higher, then we're going to see it hit the 50-day exponential moving average. And that would be a pretty good confirmation that the double bottom pattern is valid. And today was just a rest day for buyers. Now, if the market closes under the top of that double bottom pattern, then it's probably going to go back into the range of consolidation that we've seen it chopping around for about the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. Going into the hourly view, starting from yesterday, stochastics was overbought, and today they were still overbought. That's why it wasn't too obvious for the bulls to really rally prices higher, because they were in such overbought conditions. But with today's sideways movement to slightly movement up, that's helped relieving the market of overbought conditions. There's also some slight divergence going on in the MACD histogram. And, when the markets consolidate and you see some of that divergence, it's actually still a pretty good sign to the long side. Now, for support, we have the gap that formed yesterday, which is right there. And if the market wants to move down, then it'll probably, let's say, because after hours right now the market's down around I think it's under 120.
Well,
On
121, yeah.
121? Oh yeah, 121, under 121. And if we can see that the market gets under 121, it might sell off lower, especially in the morning tomorrow, and we might break under 1200, short-term wise. And when you get that, there might be some panic going on that the market lost 1200, so we'll see some type of a pullback to the gap area. That's also where the 50-hour exponential moving average is going to come to, and those are a couple levels of support that those who panic sell under 1200 will probably get quickly met with some buying around those support levels, and then maybe pop the market up even higher. June, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I do. I think overall the market is, I'm still debating whether this is just still one big consolidation pattern for another leg lower, or like you said, this is a double bottom, which is bullish after seeing it break out today. All we have to do is just really take it day by day and really find out new information as it comes, and you never want to be too one-sided. Now, on the bearish side, what I see is there's some pretty strong resistance right ahead. This horizontal line I drew from back here from that prior resistance area. And right now, around the 1230, which more or less coincides with the 50-day moving average, is showing some pretty strong area of resistance. So if there is more upside, then this is definitely the level to beat. And obviously, if it can get above it, then that means the market is a little more bullish than we all anticipate. So that's a good sign. That would be a good sign. However, if it just kind of chops around this area, or it continues to chop around that area, then that bearish consolidation pattern is starting to look more and more likely. So again, each day that passes, we'll get new information, and then we can formulate or lean more towards whatever the market's trying to do. But in the meantime, it doesn't mean that we can't enjoy these 2-3 day rallies and take advantage of these short-term trends. And that's the thing, right? Right now it's about buying these short-term trends and not really so much buying and holding for several months, right? You definitely do not want to do that because right now is not the condition to do that. Right now it's all about taking that trade and getting that quick profit, right? If it makes a nice, 1 or 2 day pop, I'll be more than happy to take that profit right then and there. So with that said, let's go into some stocks that we've talked about or are going to look at.
Sure. Actually, you brought up a really good point, June, about where you were talking about we're just probably going to take quick profits. That's the way the market conditions right now. They're still a bit uneasy, even towards they're still even leaning towards the bearish side until we get some confirmation of that double bottom pattern. And that's what we're going to do is probably take quick profits and watch our stops. We're not, yeah, like you said, we're not going to be holding for a longer period of time on these swing trades. First stock we're going to take a look at is Sina, S-I-N-A. Sina had a nice breakout, I believe yesterday, from a triangle pattern in its consolidation pattern. And I did say that I was going to take some longs on that breakout, and I did yesterday. And if it was going to get back into that range of that triangle pattern, I was actually going to exit because it was going to be a false breakout. Well, today it didn't get it back into the range, and it actually moved up higher. And it moved up higher to that prior high, which was the first resistance and the first target for Sina. So I already took some profits on that. Next stock that we're going to take a look at is IPGP. And we were looking at this for a short under the $50 level, but with IPGP actually rallying and close above its 20-day exponential moving average, I'm not really looking at it as a breakdown stock pattern to go short, so you guys can take this off of your bearish watch list. Next stock we're going to take a look at is CATM. It had a really nice breakout above the $23 level, which was about last week, and yesterday it hit the first target, which was around 24, and today it hit near the 25 level, which was the second target. So there was really no need for me to be holding any more into this stock as the first and second targets were already hit. Next stock I want to take a look at is GDOT. This was a really good stock we were taking a look at for a possible change in trend. We had, if we zoom in a bit, there's a inverse head and shoulders pattern that formed with the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and the market got above it yesterday, and it was pretty good high volume too. And actually I took a position on longs yesterday, but I just bought the stock. I didn't buy any calls, and it looks pretty good to the upside. Now it's not going to move that fast to the upside, but slowly it'll start to move up, and I probably will take some profits around the $36 level.
Okay, I mean this is a really good change in trend, almost like RIM, where you have a stock that's been beaten down, but you notice that it's no longer making the higher highs or higher lows, and those are the type of stocks that I would prefer playing if you want to play a bottom or a pattern change. For me, I don't really like to call tops or bottoms, and this leads into BAC where, okay, back here, now that we know, yeah, $6 looks like a nice buyable bottom. But we didn't know that before, and right now it's doing exactly what I wanted to do, which is just kind of base around and kind of rest around a bit above this gap, right? You want people to kind of digest the news, especially after this huge high volume gap up, and stay around that area for the time being. And once it gets above 850, then that's a better sign, better confirmation sign that it wants to move lower. So stocks like GDOT, once you stop seeing the selling and once you actually start seeing some buying coming in by either moving above, back above its 50-day, or forming some kind of reversal pattern like a inverse head and shoulder, right? Just like RIM, right, where it starts to form the higher low and higher high, and once it gets above it, then that's a good sign, right? That would be a better, more confirmational, stronger buying sign. But speaking of RIM and BAC, I think, like I mentioned, BAC can probably hover around a little bit more. I want to see it close above 850, and more importantly, above the 50-day for a good, strong buy confirmation if you haven't bought already. And then RIM, we finished our trade yesterday at 30, but I informed our aggressive traders to hold some for our higher target because it managed to stay above 30 yesterday. So the good thing is, RIM continue higher, and I noticed some members have taken profit at the higher target, which is great because just like a lot of stocks and just like the market, you're going to see the hourly stochastic is overbought. And that's what we usually mean by short-term overbought by looking at the hourly stochastic, and it's showing us that short-term overbought. And there's a good chance that tomorrow and most of these stocks could pull back. But I think RIM is still a decent play, especially if it's able to stay above this $30 level, because that $30 was a pretty strong resistance. And once it gets above a resistance, you want to make sure it stays above it. And that's how, that's basically its definition of strong stocks, right? Strong stocks, once it breaks above resistance, it stays above it and uses that new resistance as support. Okay, and that's exactly what you want to see with these type of breakouts. So if it ever comes back down to 30, or if it just kind of hovers around 30 for a little bit, then I would consider getting back into this stock as long as it's still making higher highs and higher lows. SGI, this is something that's still active, moving very well 2 days consecutively outside of this base. This is actually an active trade alert. But again, going into the hourly stochastic, it's pretty overbought. All right, same story. So there's a good chance it can pull back tomorrow, probably back down towards the 16 area. But overall, the stock is still pretty looking constructive right now. A few others for you guys. LVS, not something that I want to buy yet, but just something that I want to put on my radar, on my watch list. Going into a longer-term weekly view, you can see that LVS is still basing very nicely for almost a year. So the base is still there, and now that it's moved back near the top of the range, around the 49, it's starting to pique my interest once again. So if it can kind of stay a little bit here, rest a little bit before breaking out, then that would be a good sign. But for right now, I just want to watch it. And then let me give you guys this one. PSMT, price marked breakout today above the 62, 62.5 area on really good volume. Okay, so I will continue to watch that, maybe on a pullback towards the 62 area. Going into, let's go to hourly view, right? So hourly, you can see that 62 was the prior resistance. Breakout above that, so it should, right? If it's a true breakout, especially on a high volume breakout, you want to see it hold above 62 for the most part, at least not close underneath it. And then the one we talked about the other day, or I posted yesterday, and this is why it helps to check the forums, because once I see something and I see something that looks really good, I'll put it out there, and that goes the same with our members. Once they see a stock that looks good, they'll post it up there. So it's really helpful to check on a daily basis. So JVA, I like that it's having 2 high volume days, especially breaking out of this resistance area, this little triangle looking thing. But I'm going to go through it the same thing, right? Hourly stochastic is pretty overbought. So if it's can pull back a bit, I would say probably to 20. I think someone already mentioned that on the forum, right back to that previous support resistance area. So $20 would be a good re-entry into the stock. And then last one, VOG. Now this is a smaller stock, so it's a little more speculative, but this is a really good pattern that I'm seeing because there's a potential for a triple bottom right here. Right, so you got 1, 2, 3 retests of the same support area around the 225, and right now it's basing, it's consolidating sideways. So if I were to put on the squeeze indicators, it's also going into a volatility squeeze. Right, it's going into it. So if it can stay there for maybe another day or two, then that means the pattern's a little more tighter and it's contracting on, and all you want to do is wait for that expansion. And the expansion level, the breakout level, is around the 285, 290, give or take around that area. So I would consider buying some stock once it gets above that area. So definitely there's quite a few setups out there. Some stocks that have broken out and some stocks that are about to break out, but most of the stocks right now have already made their move. And I would definitely wait for some kind of a pullback, some kind of rest before getting in. And of course, assuming the market wants to go higher. If the market makes a big down day tomorrow, then I might be a little suspect about the pullback. But if it's maybe just like a small 1-2% pullback, then sure, that qualifies. So we really have to see what kind of pullback we're going to get. If it's a nice sideways consolidation, then that's even better. Okay, but we'll see what happens when tomorrow, if the market does pull back. Most likely it can do that. Anything else you want to add here, Chris?
Actually, there's something that I just really want to clear the clear the air about, and that's about having a trading partner. Because it is true that when we trade independently because we make our own decisions, but there's nothing wrong with having a trading partner that you can bounce off ideas with. Case in point is if we look at stock CLF, and I know I touched about this briefly in my YouTube video, but CLF had a nice rally to the 20-day exponential moving average about 3 or 4 days ago, and when it rallied above there, it actually looked like a really good short, especially that black candle, getting not halfway into the white candle, but it looked like a pretty good short. And I had bounced this idea off of somebody else who's also a trader, professional trader, and they pointed me to that break of that diagonal resistance line that Junhin drew earlier. So to me, it looked like a great short to the downside. And to them, they said a possible change in trend, perhaps maybe we're not to short that. And if you look at what it's done the last 3 days or so, that it's just popped up higher. And I think it's just awesome that, no trader's really perfect, and it's always wise to sometimes come up with your game plan and then maybe bounce that idea off somebody. Now, this wasn't a trade I was looking at. I was going to go right into, and then I asked someone about it. What do they think? I didn't do that. I had this, this was after hours, and I was looking at this particular setup, and I just asked my friend what he thought about it, and he actually showed me his view. And that's really what we do on the forums in the community, is just bounce off ideas off of each other. Like I said, there's a difference between bouncing off ideas right when you're going to do the trade and looking at your potential setups, waiting for that, if this happens, then I'm going to trade this scenario. And that's one of the things that a lot of our members have been taking advantage of.
Yeah, really good point. And trading is about really about trying to make the fewer mistakes the better. You're going to make some mistakes, and to have other people to help you along, especially if you're a new trader, that's where your learning curve grows exponentially. And for us, we're more than willing and happy to help you guys, and this is why we created the website. It's more to create the community of people coming in together and really helping each other out. So, and I'm really glad that there are people who take advantage of it on a daily basis. All right, so great point. Good pointing out, Chris. But with that said, I think we're pretty much done for today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, and then we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, and then we'll obviously we do the video on Thursdays. All right.